of the Emerging Tech Talks webinar. Just a brief overview about the Emerging Tech Talk. We started officially in August, and the aim is to build a community, that thrives in all aspects by bridging the knowledge gap. We believe basically that people, what distinguishes or differentiates people is the level of exposures and knowledge that they have. So we started this to bridge that gap by bringing professionals, experts from different fields in emerging tech, in community building, in different careers, to come speak and, to come have discussions, on, topical issues where we believe can be of benefit to our community and also to people at large as well. So we're glad to have everyone here. We're glad to have our speakers. I want to take this opportunity to recognize our speakers who for accepting our invitation, first of all, and also for making our time to be here. I know how Saturdays can be. Saturdays for some people is a resting time. For Canadians, you don't invite them for events like this, But for creating this time, I really want to say thank you from the depth of my heart. Thank you for accepting our invitation. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking our time to come, network, and share from your wealth of experience. I really want to say thank you to our panelists, our guests. We really appreciate you. Our moderator as well, Priya Dikshit, thank you so much for the time. Thank you for being here. Priya will be introducing the guest as we go further. I also want to use this medium. Today, it's this month's webinar is actually the last for the year 2024. And I really want to appreciate some people, who have really been consistent on our platform. One of such is my mother. During the Emerging Tech Talk, when we talked about the future of blockchain, I was going through the registration, seeing people that registered, and I spotted my mom there. And I was like, I was so surprised. I was like, I was in tears, My mom is over 60 years, right? And coming on the platform to sign up for, this new technology, the blockchain, the Web3, just to come listen to people talk about it was really emotional for me. It was an emotional moment for me. And that month was also her birthday as well. So I really want to thank my mom. Every morning when I wake up, every morning of the Emerging Tech Talk, when I wake up to her messages. And she sends message praying and, releasing words, and they're saying wonderful things. I really want to use this opportunity to appreciate my mother. Thank you so much, Mom, for being part of this journey, for your prayers, and for being part of this event. It's really encouraging, and it's one of the push, one of the areas, I gain motivation to continue with this journey. So I really appreciate you, Mom. Thank you so much. I also want to thank, amongst us are, other clergymen all around, from Africa, Nigeria specifically. And I really want to thank Reverend Onuche for being part of this journey and his family. Thank you so much. I remember you not being able to join at some point, and you were like, Godfrey, I didn't get the message, I didn't get the link and all of that, and he doesn't just join, he invites people, to be part of it, his family and all. So thank you so much, Reverend Onuche, for being part of this journey. I also want to thank Mr. DG. I don't know if he's on the call, but he reached out earlier to say, Godfrey, keep at it. keep at it. And he said he'll be with us, but I believe he's going to join later. But I want to thank him in absentia. Thank you so much, Mr. DG. And all our participants. I've attended webinars, I've seen people come in and go out, but I've seen people come in and stay. it's not easy to stay for 1 hour, 1 hour 30 minutes of a session, and it takes a whole lot of sacrifice to do that. I really want to say thank you so much for your sacrifice. Thank you for spending for this session. I know data cost is crazy in some part of the world, like in Nigeria especially, but we want to say thank you so much for being part of it, for staying with us, and for staying up to this moment as well. 2025 holds a whole lot for us, and I would like to, before I hand over to Priya to continue the session, I would like to share a couple of things we have for the year 2025. Give me a second. Let me share from here. Just 1 minute, please. I need to stop sharing this and share. Yeah. And share. Okay. Let me share from here directly. Okay. Yeah. So just like I said, we're committed to fostering a community that is well informed and thrive in all aspects. And our goal basically is to empower 9 billion people. I know someone may be asking, the population of the world is over 7 billion, right? But for me, I feel these are people that were counted. There are people that are still not counted till this, right? And I believe the population of the world has increased, right? People in the world has also increased. So our goal is to empower them. So so far, we've reached 120. 120 out of 9 billion is a whole lot, right? So, but we've reached 120 and we've empowered 32. And we've done that, we've done all of this through, these sessions we have through some of our tools. We're a software company as well at Owuju, right? So we have a product that helps people to, leverage on community strength to meet their needs and empower themselves financially. So, so far, with the tool, with this platform, this community, we've been able to, we can categorically say for the year 2024, we've been able to empower about 30 people. We have tons of success stories from people being able to afford their tuition by leveraging community strength, people being able to, discipline themselves towards saving, people being able to get their debt, debt off their neck and being able to pay off their debt in time, thereby building a, credit history, and all of that. All of this has helped, all of these are things we have done to ensure that people are being empowered. And in the coming year, in a second, I think I need to refresh this a bit. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So in the coming year, which is in 2025, we are happy to announce our recent partnership with one of the leading upcoming blockchain company, which is the ICP blockchain. They are based in Canada and also the US. We are offering about 20 developers, opportunities to learn in-demand skills, especially skills in blockchain development. So this is one out of all of the things we'll be doing. So in the first quarter of 2025, we'll be focused on, building the capacity of people we've reached out to, people within the community, giving them an opportunity, to build their skills and also apply it in the emerging markets. So we plan to do a whole lot starting from first quarter of next year, which is 2025, between January and March. Yeah, so we'll be really focused on capacity building. So, but this opportunity is not just available for developers, it's available for anyone. I remember during one of our sessions where someone was asking, oh, I'm actually in the medical space, do I have to switch? We said, no, you don't have to switch. You just need to find a problem within your space and then see how you can use technology or whatever resource to solve it. You don't have to change careers, right? You can stay where you are and build your capacity to solve whatever need that may arise in that space. So we're providing this opportunity for everyone, participants here, and also everyone within our community to participate, to partake of this opportunity to learn in-demand skills, even as we partner with ICP Computer and Quantum Leap Labs. So this is a major announcement for us. And we also have a registration form here where we expect people, you can sign up and just your name, your email, tell us your areas of interest. So based on your areas of interest, we're able to channel the resource that will help you, to build your capacity in that path. So it doesn't have to be tech. Whatever skill set you have, whatever interest you have on any career path, just share with us and we will go through it and channel the resources or make available the resources that you need, to build capacity in that area of interest. So these are some of the things we'll be bringing out from next year. And so thank you so much. Once again, we want to say thank you. Thank you for being part of this. Thank you for being here today. And without further ado, I would like to introduce our moderator for the session, who would as well introduce our speakers. All right, let's give it up for Priya. Priya, over to you.
Well, good morning, everyone, and people who are joining in from Nigeria, I hope you have a great evening. So today we're going to begin with a topic which is very close to my heart because I'm also a student in the same field. And on top of that, I have one of my professors here who I deeply respect, considering the fact that he has lived experience in while being a peacekeeper troop at places which were ridden with real conflict, like places like Colombia, places like Palestine. And the thing is, a lot of times people like us, like you and me, we do not actually know what it actually feels like to live under the umbrella of direct conflict. And this is exactly where I want to start the conversation with, because I feel like our whole understanding of what community living is I believe it to be a slightly scattered, considering the fact that we're living in a world which is driven with capitalism and everybody has to impose their identities wherever like at whatever chance, or using whatever opportunity that they can get to get themselves ahead. I feel we as people who are actively involved in community service, we have this onus on us and the burden of reminding people that at the end of the day, we're still a community, whether it's a small one or whether it's a huge one. It doesn't really matter, because communities build the world. It's not just an individual. Individuals probably build the structure of that community, but at the end of the day, the communities are built because of other communities. So today I'm going to start with William. And William has been a professor at George Brown College for a very long time. He has taught subjects like human history and geopolitics, and also the fact that he is also a PhD candidate at the York University is something that is also another feather to his cap. And I would like William to please give a little bit, give us a little bit about your background and let us know what is on your mind today.
Thank you so much, Priya, for that introduction, and also to Godfrey for organizing this event. It's a real honor to be here with all of you, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation with other people about what this thing is, this thing we call community, and how we can make it stronger in face of the forces against bringing humans together, bringing people together. So my own background, as Priya's mentioned, I've been teaching at George Brown College for over a decade. Prior to that, I've been an educator for a while. I've also taught at York University and at in the Toronto District School Board as a high school teacher and a guidance counselor. But as Priya also mentioned, I worked for a number of years doing what we refer to as violence reduction, mostly through an organization called Community Peacemaker Teams, which places teams in locations where we are invited by local communities to provide a presence, what we call a violence reduction presence, using the tools of nonviolence to collaborate with local people in the building of peace and positive peace in contexts where people are facing physical violence and structural violence. So maybe I'll stop there.
Right, so thank you for giving us a little bit about your background, which is very expansive to say the least. And going forward, I would like to introduce you to Peter, who I recently came in, I mean, not recently, but I did come in contact with him because of God Korean. Just when the first time when I was at the Empowered Nation, just as a volunteer, it was an amazing experience just to see that, you know, there are so many organizations that are actually here for the newcomers and especially for international students. And I believe, and all of us also call him Kenny. So I believe that he has been definitely at the forefront of welcoming all the international students from all across Ontario and taking his time out, even though he's always busy with his engagements, with his responsibilities, but he always makes sure to take out his precious time for all of us, just because he has so much love for the community and because of the fact that he wants to support everyone. So on to Kenny. I would really appreciate if you would give us a little bit about your background.
Okay, good morning and good afternoon. Can you guys hear me? Okay, that's good. So good morning for those in Canada, good afternoon and good day generally for everybody. Want to appreciate Priya. Thank you very much for the introduction. I want to also appreciate Godfrey. Good work. What you're doing, it's very good in the sense that it's encouraging to see people like you looking forward to the growth of the community, especially knowing fully well how you actually even started even here in Canada. And not to dwell too much on that, I'll just quickly introduce myself and just to appreciate these platform, the convenient and everybody community. Thank you for the opportunity for bringing me up here to say one or two things. I do not believe to know or to have everything all, but trust God, and I also try my best to become a better person. I haven't said that. Priya introduced me already. My name is Peter Kenny Bajamo, being called PKB, and I'm an IT specialist by profession. I've been in IT for the past 15 to 16 years. And then I've also dwelt at least to an extent in terms of community development. I would say more than even 15 to 16 years. Calculating that being in Nigeria and also here, I came in to Canada as an international student in 2015. And when I came in, I saw the need of community development. And that was where the zeal started from. And I'm talking about almost 10 years ago. And then, you know what, 10 years till now, it's been a wonderful time. I think I'm just going to stop there for now so that I won't say too much.
Thank you, Kenny, for your introduction. And to the last one, the last speaker that we have for today is Lovelyn, and she'll be joining us from Nigeria. So thank you for taking your time out for us. And she has a I was actually surprised when I read about her background for the first time because it was so expansive. And the fact that she is in a field called gender programming, which we will be discussing as we go along during the session today, which is a topic a lot of us are not very familiar with. Like, it is something that you read and you probably try to guess, but it has so much of depth and so many other fields involved. And I was quite surprised to read about it for the first time. So that is something that we will definitely be talking about today. And she is an advocate for not just gender programming, but she's an advocate for nutrition. She's an advocate for community development, and she uses all her skills and all her time and energy advocating for the things that she believes in, all mostly related to policies, and especially related to social policies. So thank you, Lovelyn, for coming in today, and I would hand it over to you so that you can provide us a little bit in depth about your background.
Okay. Good evening from this side of the world. Thank you very much, Priya, for that introduction. Thank you, Godfrey, and the Owujub team for putting this informative platform month in, month out. And thank you for even having me speak on this very interesting topic. Priya has said a lot already as to what I do. And just to chip in that being trained as an engineer, I hardly stayed in this sector just for the passion and the love for community development. So I think the bio that is written there already says a little more, a lot about me, but that's just a bit I want to add, and we will uh, get to know more as we go deep into the conversation. First, I want to apologize for the noise in the background. I had to go for a function that took longer than I expected, and I didn't want to do this meeting driving, so I'm just waiting around here to finish up before I head home. Ah, thank you, and over for now.
Thank you so much for your effort, and I can imagine just being stuck in the traffic and then trying to do a heartfelt session with all of us. So I really appreciate your effort. So anyway, let's talk about community building. Let's really jump into this topic, because also I considering the fact that so far this is the first time we're actually we were going towards the topic of community service. And so far in our previous sessions, we've always talked about business development, we've talked about funding, we've talked about startups, we've talked about blockchain, we've talked about cryptocurrency, we've talked everything about technology. But today, we're going to talk about you and me and people like us. And this is what we should actually, before we talk about anything else, I think this is where we should be starting our conversations. So I won't make too much, I won't take too much of everyone's time, because I really want all our speakers to have enough time to be able to speak everything that they would like to share with us from their experience, the things that they believe in, and also their expert ideas on how we can be in the future as a community. So the first question that I actually have for all of you is the fact that all our speakers today are coming from a different area of expertise. So I would actually want each speaker to provide us a little bit about your experience when it comes to your area of expertise, and how did you see the community change over the period of time, and what do you think that those changes have affected how the community is the way it is today? So I think I would go with William first, and then probably we can go with him. William, I think you're muted.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm remembering many years ago, a wise woman in my life said that to shift the way you think about the world, you need to change who you're listening to. And I think that's been a key concept that has guided my life in many ways. I think that maybe at this point I want to talk about some concepts that have become important to understand the way I see the world and the way I see community. Often I'm looking at the world through kind of big lenses, through the geopolitical in my scholarly work. And I also look specifically at violence and the way that violence manifests in many different ways. We can talk about physical violence, but we can also talk about structural violence. We can talk about fast violence, but we can also talk about slow violence. And the impacts of these are tough to grapple with because they're big forces that shape the world and that restrict lives, that destroy life chances for so many people. One of the concepts that's been useful for me is the concept of feminist geopolitics, which is a term that was coined by Dr. Jennifer Heinemann from York University to get at how geopolitics often focuses our attention on kind of the decisions of people in power in different parts of the world. But the concept of feminist geopolitics calls on us to look at other scales that matter as well. And so geopolitical shifts impact the lives of individuals and communities who are trying to live their lives. And so we live in a time where maybe we'll get into it, but there are huge shifts happening in terms of geopolitics, but these have implications for individuals on so many levels. And really, scholarly ideas like those of Jennifer Heinemann work with other scholarly ideas. And when I was thinking this through last night on how I wanted to frame the kind of how I see our engagement in the world, the ideas of a scholar from Cameroon named Mbembe that I'm sure people are familiar with kind of came to mind, and particularly his work on necropolitics and his analysis of how the power structures of the world are shaped through the power of death and the power of taking away life. And so these are the big structures that we're up against. And so when we are in this kind of work of building stronger communities, we need to start with a recognition of the real challenges and the real kind of structures of oppression that we're trying to tear down, structures of white supremacy and structures of colonialism and neo-colonialism, structures that are formed, as Priya mentioned, by forms of capitalism that disregard the individual except as another product to be bought and sold. Maybe I'll end there.
Right. But that was an amazing input from your end. And I do agree with the fact that the forms of capitalism are not just a single layered anymore. Like the whole structure of capitalism has seeped into our everyday lives in such a complex way that we have started thinking about our own selves as a means of commodity. Like even when it comes to interpersonal relationships, even when it comes to our own sense of self, we have sort of started to think about ourselves as if we need to we need to use ourselves to achieve something. And I feel that that is something very alarming, and that is something that needs to be addressed very urgently, because I don't know if this is how all of us are addressing our own mental dialogue when it comes to our own sense of selves. I wonder where the world is going. Like, really, where are we even gonna land our feet at in a couple of decades? Because if this is our mindset, well, what sort of children are we gonna raise? Well, what sort of generation is gonna come from our own sense of belief, which is seesawing between what needs to be achieved and what can we do about it, rather than focusing on what we actually need to experience life as a human being. So I'm deeply agree with what William had to say so far, and not taking any more time, I would also hope that Peter would provide his perspective as well as to the topic of discussion that we are having right now.
Okay, not so. Just to go straight to the point without taking too much time, I think William actually said one or two things. I'm going to be coming from pretty much about my own little experience. Like I said, I came into Canada 2015, and that's when more of the need for the community development actually started. So I'm going to start with this word. The question first is, what is a community? Now, not going with the Google definition of community. Okay, let me just quickly I have it written down here, and it says community, a group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristics in common. That is what Google said. But I'm going to give you this definition, right? Community is a family. And I would say family because what is the common thing in a family? The common thing in a family, or what we think is very much important in a family, is love. And when I came in, I'm going to be pretty much putting out my points there, talking much about my own background and what started the whole community development. And when I came in, I saw the fact that there is a big gap when it comes to our international community. And I saw that these need to be addressed as soon as possible. And then the zeal came up from within myself. And then I started to reach out to few people in the little community. I tried to reach out to a few people in the little community, and that is how we started the Centennial Empowerment Center. So I myself, I was part of the originator of the members of the Centennial Empowerment Center. And then what did we do? We tried to create an atmosphere where we call family. And then in that atmosphere, we try to make sure that we share the goals, the vision, and we painted the picture for them to see on the foundation of love. So which I believe, if everybody can have that same mindset, if everybody can have that same understanding, and we're on the same page in the sense that this is a place, an atmosphere where the love, and I'm talking about the love of God, needs to be shared, so that each and every one of us will be able to have a better and a bigger picture of what can be of benefit in a community. Look at what Priya said. Everybody has now made, or we're now looking at each other as a means to an end. What we have in our head is, how can I get something from this person? How can I be of a better person? Not thinking of how can both of you be of better, or how both of you can help each other to become better. So people are now falling to the side of, it is all about me. How can I get from this person? And then that is all, right? But we wanted to create a platform where people can have a sense of belonging. Some communities have done that. And when I came, I saw a few of those communities thriving, making waves, doing a lot of things. And I asked myself that simple question: where is my community? What is happening? And that's where the zeal came from. And then, like I told you, I'm an IT person by background. I'm into IT infrastructure, into networking. And, while pursuing my career, still going on with everything, I had this going by the side because I saw a need that needs to be met. And then we started that from the, from the Sentinel empowerment, even though we had other empowerment center going on in Omba. And then, we work in hands together to make things actually happen together. So I'm just going to stop there for that. And pretty much so as time goes on, I'll be able to say more about the community development.
Thank you, Kenny, so much. I would just like to emphasize on the point that you made earlier is that how that community is very synonymous to a family. And this is something that we also need to remind ourselves over and over again, that it's not just about benefit ourselves, but it's about a mutual benefit. Because as long as we're sharing the same space, as long as we're breathing the same air, we are sharing a lot more than we can actually envision or we can actually perceive on the first go. And this sense of sharing everything, like we were sharing the space, we were sharing the accommodations, we were sharing resources that are being provided to us, and nobody is actually in isolation. And this is also something that I believe in, that nothing in the universe actually exists in isolation. It is always a relationship, whether it's symbiotic, whether it's parasitic, well, that depends from case to case, but there's always a relationship. And nothing actually can exist in isolation. So I'm just going to stop there, and I would love Lovelyn to provide us her input as well as to what community development has been for her from her perspective, and the changes that she might have seen in the past few years.
All right. Thank you very much, Priya. And thank you, Peter, for defining a community, because that actually um, is key in the discussion about community development. So now, building on your definition, Peter's definition, before I go into my experience, like I say, now knowing that the community is a family where you stay together and all, now I like to add in a strong community. Now, what is a strong community? Because community development cannot be successful without the community being together as a strong unit. Now, just thinking about it generally, yes, there are several definitions. You go online of a community and all, but in all of it, what stands out is the fact that a strong community is a place where everybody is a part of the striving to achieve the community goal, which means there's something that is shared, just like Priya also rightly mentioned. A place where communalism is truly evident and there's a shared ownership of whether successes or otherwise of that community. Now, going back to my experience, like as I was introducing myself, I mentioned the fact that I am an engineer by training, and while thinking, okay, I will use all the engineering skills to get maybe some nice job in some oil company or something, and just live my life and support my community as much as I can. I didn't know that I was called to actually do community service for a living.
Hmm.
And now my journey started when I just accompanied someone, just, oh, what are you doing today? I have an NGO. I want to do a needs assessment. And if you're not busy, you can tag along. And I'm like, oh, sure, I can tag along. Just see what you're doing. And it was just tagging along that I realized that this is what God has been calling me to do. And what did I see? I saw a need for a voice on behalf of these people who were so much. Okay, so it's right here in Abuja that this started in 2015, but they were living more like a world of their own, as if they were not part of the city of Abuja. And what exactly did I observe aside from the conversations that happened that brought out a lot of things? So I saw how that a lack or poor or inadequate availability of social amenities affects women differently from the way it affects men. And the conversations with the community, the locals, which I was fortunate to be one of the people who speak the language that the people speak. And then I saw how that the little things, the lack of water, the lack of just primary basic health care was causing an unimaginable level of maternal and child mortality. So the lack of these basic amenities was not affecting the men as it was affecting the women. So you see a lot of orphans. Uh, okay, so I think it's to the extreme to call orphans. So you see a lot of motherless children whose mothers have had to die by trying to give them siblings because no health care. So you see people coming down with different kinds of diseases because there was no water and all of that. And it all tied together with a lot of things that I was struggling with without understanding that is the direction. Now, what was my experience, or what is my experience, because it's the same thing I still do till today. And I saw that having the conversation with these locals, making them understand that there's actually something they can do to help themselves without waiting for the government. This simple discussions sparked up great changes that today, if you go to that community, it is actually called Jahi. It has now become like a city because development has entered there and all of that. But those simple guides, those simple discussion, making the community members understand that they have all it takes to help themselves and prevent their wives, mothers, and sisters from dying, and everything turned around. And that opened the door for so many things. Not only did they have these basic amenities that we talked about, and then they wrote on that understanding and to get many other things working for them. So I'd like to stop here for now. As we go along, I think we'll keep building on the conversation. Thank you. And over.
Right, that was a moving recollection of what you went through, and this is also something that I think we kind of forget as people. A lot of us, most of us here, are people of color, and we've traveled from third world countries, and we've seen. I mean, we've seen the depravity and how the lack of social amenities, as Lovely pointed out, can lead to so much of violence. And sometimes this violence is not even evident. Like it's somewhere in the background, it's happening to people. We only see the symptoms, and we try to pinpoint those symptoms to illnesses that are more physical, but we don't recognize that there's a social fabric which is being torn apart as well. And when we do not, and considering, as Lovely discussed earlier, considering how women tend to always receive, yes, I would say always receive the short end of the stick, because that's what has been happening to many women since centuries. It's just now that we're finally recognizing and we're finally accepting the fact that, all of this has been happening. And if the maternal, if of the family is not taken care of, because she is the one who provides the nurturing to all the kids, and if she is not respected, if she's not well taken care of, then we will, as Lovelyn suggested, might end up having motherless children. So I'll just stop there, and I am extremely grateful for all our to all our panelists today, because I feel like we have this varied experience that is coming from all three of them, coming from different perspectives. And I feel like this is also a huge opportunity for all of us to recognize and learn from all of you. So thank you again for that. And moving forward, I would actually love that if all our panelists would be able to expand upon how they feel community building would look like in the future, or if there are any ideas that they would like to share with us, where they feel like if these social policies or policies that might be implemented in the future, this is how the community development can progress. So I think I would like to have like a futurist conversation right now, where I would like all of you to give your opinion as to what community development should look like, and the things that are lacking, and the things that we can actually work with. So I'm going to go to William first, and let's hear what he has to say about that.
Thank you. That's a big task to look towards the future. And sometimes when we try to do that, it's a bit of a, our crystal balls are a little bit cloudy. And sometimes we have to still step back and see kind of where we've come from and where we are. I am remembering the wise words of an elder who's passed away, an elder who lived many years in Toronto, Ursula Franklin, Dr. Ursula Franklin, who was also an engineer. So Lovelyn's identification as an engineer made me think of Ursula Franklin. Ursula was was born and grew up as a Jewish person in Nazi-occupied Germany, moved to the United Kingdom to escape the violence of anti-Semitism in that context, and became an engineer in Great Britain. Her original project that was assigned to her by her PhD supervisor was to create roofing material that would withstand the acidic rain of the city in the United Kingdom that she was working in. I believe it was Birmingham. And she thought about it, and she said, no, that's not an ethical PhD project, because the children's lungs can't withstand the air quality and will not be protected by this roofing material that I developed. And so she refused that direction, technological direction, for her own research as an engineer, and said that that our direction has to be ethical at every step of the way. She also once told us about how she sees the world today. And she said that we have to understand ourselves in a situation akin to living under military occupation. Some of us actually are living under military occupation throughout the world. But even for those that aren't kind of experiencing that in a physical way, that we have to understand that there are ideas, anti-human, anti-community ideas that are strong, and that so we need to see ourselves as living under occupation. And so we have to be organized and do community organizing in a way that's to some extent a bit covert, in order to kind of not be kind of dragged up in these forces of anti-community forces, maybe we can call them. And she said that those forces are capitalism. We've talked about that, and part of her work at the University of Toronto was fighting for, back in the 70s and 80s when she was a professor there, was fighting against gender inequality in the professorship there and in the staffing of the University of Toronto and the unequal treatment based on gender. But I also think that her ideas about kind of how we have to organize this, we have to be wise to organize in a way that recognizes that there are forces at play that don't want us to be strong, and that that the way the world is organized right now on some level benefits some people in positions of power. I do kind of, to go back to some of the concepts that Peter talked about, the idea of love and the idea of family, the idea of developing community in this sense of creating an atmosphere or a foundation, that these are the anecdotes to these forces that I do think are very strong, that we have to face. So when we do this community building towards a different future, I think it is kind of grappling with the structures that we face in the present. That maybe I'll add one other thing and then I'll end this intervention. But in a course that I teach called Introduction to Community Work, we use a book called Pragmatics of Community Organization, in which the authors explore the idea of community development. And they define community kind of in a way that fits with the ideas that Peter and Lovelyn put forward here. They say that community can be understood as a geographic area and the people that live in it. And that is one way where we can see ourselves in community. But they also say that there are two other kinds of ways of defining community. One is communities of identity, where we have a common identity that could be based on various social identities or intersectional kind of configurations of identities. But the third one, which I think is perhaps the most important, is the recognition that we are forming communities because we're facing common challenges, and so we band together in face of those common challenges. And I think that the work that Lovelyn's doing and the work that Peter is doing, the work that I've had a chance to be involved in, is often kind of strongest when people see each other in the ways that Peter and Lovelyn were describing as partners with each other in facing challenges, and believing that we don't have to live in a world that's based on ripping each other down and that kind of destruction that is too often kind of happening. So maybe I'll stop there.
Just to bring forth the same point that William mentioned before, just to highlight it, is the fact that the strongest reason that people can come together is realizing common challenges and being empathetic about each other, recognizing the same challenge within the same space that is shared, and recognizing that just like you, there are people going through the same challenges. And that itself brings in the whole idea of community, because it's more than just trying to do things which will bring a solution, but trying to bring a solution which serves everybody. And I'll leave it at that. And then again, the same question is for Kenny, and I would love if he would provide his thoughts on.
Yeah, thank you very much, William. Like I said, we're going to be building on as we go on, right? So now, building on what I said earlier and what Lovelyn and also William said earlier, right? I was able to establish the fact about love, right, and family. Now I know what are now building on that. You look at, there's a common thing in what Lovelyn said and what I actually said. Identifying what? A problem. She saw that there was a need for something, right? So that's the first thing you've identified. Then what is the next thing? Or how do you move forward? Now, the next thing is what? To preach love. Now, I'll give you an instance. I think Godfrey might even remember this instance. There was a time somebody was stranded, and by the way, just to actually even let you know, part of what we actually also do is pretty much providing soft landing for international students, and then making them to have a sense of belonging, having an atmosphere, a community whereby even if things are not being met outside, they have the sense of belonging in this community. And even if their needs are not met immediately, there's a work around that will be provided for them, and at least that will be able to sustain them pending the time they're able to achieve achieve what they need to do, what needs to be achieved at that point in time. Now, there was somebody who actually came into the country and was stranded in the airport, and I received a phone call, and this person was stranded and everything. Immediately, I jumped into my car, made on a few connections and calls I need to make and everything. Pick up the person, we got an accommodation for the person, we provided food for the person. We're already making phone calls on how the person is going to settle in his school. We're already making phone calls on how the person is going to get accommodation. He was surprised that there are people that could be doing this in this age. And then now I was talking about preaching love. This person has a different background when it comes to religion, and then he didn't believe that someone or people of our caliber can be doing such a thing. Now, I made him to understand something. I said, religion and a lot of things has brought many of us thus far. Now coming to this part of the world where a need has been seen, we need to now move forward. How do we move forward? We have identified the problem: lack of community, lack of strong community. There is no community. Then the first thing is let's preach the love. When we preach the love, let's bring people to come together. Let's make them to have a sense of belonging. Let's make them to be able to picture themselves. Now, I used to say something. For those who are striving, who also want to become, they want to develop more community, or they want to become head of community. Now, put the goal in front of you. Have the goal right in front of you. Let the goal be right in front of you, right? And never give up, right? Put the goal in front of you. Let it be in front of you. Never give up. I said something. I said, picture yourself in the future so that you can be able to feature in the future. So picture yourself in the community so that you can be able to feature. Now, feature means so that you can be able to function at the maximum capacity in the community. It's a thing of the mindset. When you are able to have that understanding of, one, there is a problem that was identified. We're preaching love, everybody, right? Now, the next thing is for you to be able to have a better picture of what that community can be in the nearest future. And now you need to bring people to come together. Now, no man is an island. No man is an island. What you have will be different from what I have. What you have and what I have might be a step one of what I have, but what you have might be a step two of what I have. But when we don't have an atmosphere or a platform where people can come together to bring what they have to make themselves to become a better people, then there's a problem. So, like I said, first of all, identify the problem, you preach the law, right? Now, create an atmosphere where they can be able to picture themselves in the future in the community. And what are other things we can actually do? Another thing again we can actually do again is what is happening right now. And what is happening right now? Having events, seminars, programs where people can be informed. I'm going to speak in this direction. Godfrey was part of the George Brown Empowerment Center. And he saw how things were being done. He saw how the communities were being impacted. When lives are being touched, when people are being loved, when people come in, they don't know anybody, they don't have anybody, but when they come in, they have everybody, they know everybody, they get informed. And then seeing this, something sprung up within himself. And then, Owojipe came up, and then he started to put a lot of effort into it. Another thing again we need to do as a community to strengthen ourselves is what? Putting ourselves out there. Let our presence be felt out there. So God was part of us, worked with us, and then got this great and wonderful idea. And look at how far he is right now. Many people look at the goal. He had the picture of the future already. The target is to meet what? 9 billion. And this year they've met how many? 120. He's already having the picture of what the future will be already within himself. And it's achievable. Because he has set a goal right in front of himself. Don't forget. Put the goal right in front of you. The focus set on it. Now, as time goes on, you will be able to identify like minds who have the same love. And I'll be drawing a conclusion on this section with this very simple principle of multiplication, which I actually got from one of my leadership training. And it says, a leader is not to count the number of those who are following him. Instead, a leader is to count the number of those who are following him. Now, I'm a leader. The quality of my leadership, or let me say, for me to be able to appraise myself when it comes to my leadership skills, I should not leverage on the number of those who are following me, because that will not be a successful leadership. But I should leverage on the number of those who are following the people I have trained. Principle of multiplication. So when you are in the community, you have the mindset, you have everything already. Identify few people that you can be able to pour that same thing into. Nurture them, train them, because the future starts from now. We started 10 years ago. By the grace of God, today we have over 400 to 500 students that we are managing, providing information to, helping, sorting different situations at different points in time. And we have been able to build strong connection and good network, in a sense that when people come, we know how to direct them to different places. The future started then. So when you're able to identify people that you're able to pour yourself into, those same people identify people that are able to pour themselves into. Before we know what is happening, the community is developing, and the future we have pictured will become a reality. I'm going to stop there right for now.
Thank you, Kenny. That was such a passionate experience that you were sharing with us, and it's beautiful to just hear from you talking about how you were able to build such a huge community, especially amongst newcomers who are basically coming from the point of view where there is no community. They're brand new. They're all alone. They just land in Canada and they don't know where to go. So you're doing God's work. You're doing a lot of good work in the community, and we're extremely grateful and proud of you. Just to summarize the things that I felt are important to mention again is the way Kenny emphasized on envisioning the future and being focused on it. The way we have to focus on the goal and identify that goal first, that this is what we need to do, this is what we need to be. And once you do that, you will be able to find more like-minded people, and you will be able to build on that. And before you even know it, as Kenny mentioned, you already have a community to build with. So this was such a beautiful journey that you shared with us, and I think there's a lot that we can get inspired from it. And again, so I would go back to Lovelyn, and I would hope that she can also provide us with some inspiring stories and what the future should look like when it comes to community development.
Okay, thank you very much, Priya. Now, looking at what that is being futuristic, can you hear me? Being futuristic and looking at what community development should look like. So, I would simply say inclusivity. To be inclusive, inclusivity for collective, impact and all of that. And what do I mean by this? Having everyone who is part of that community understand that they are a major stakeholder and that they have a part to play, no matter how little they think they are able to contribute, but for them to know that that contribution is valued, for them to know that without that contribution, there won't be success. Now, why do I say this? A lot of times when you go to in the practicality of the work that I do, when you get to a particular now talking about a geographic community, you find out that they all think that they are helpless because they are looking only in one direction, whether within the community or outside the community. But the moment they all understand that they have a stake and that they have a part to play, even if it's just by saying a word or two, and that whatever they have to bring is valid, and that their feelings are recognized, and that there is empathy about what they're going through, you find out that people begin to blossom, they begin to open up, and then they begin to see things from a different perspective. And that is where you begin to leverage on the available skills, available resources, knowledge, and what have you to be able to create a collective impact. However, that inclusivity that I have talked about does not just happen in a day. It also means that the leader has to intentionally make sure that all the representative or the groups or the faction, because like it or not, there are different categories of people within any community, whether geographic or otherwise, so that they understand that whoever you are, no matter your position, that there's a part you need to play and that the community belongs to you. Now, whenever I think about this, I think about the small locker room talks that happen in sports, where you hear all the charge by the coach telling everybody how that if you do not play your own role, then the whole team can fail, that the failure of one is a failure of all, so that there is that shared ownership of whatever that needs to be achieved. And then looking at everything in the context of that community. Because no matter what the issues are, even if they seem the same, but in different climes and different contexts, they appear differently. So, for the future of community development, one, you need to look at the context of that community. Two, you need to recognize the different factions within that community and make everyone feel accepted, valued, and that their perspective matters. And then you harness the skills that are available, then there can be no limit as to what can be achieved in the development of that community in all aspects. So I like to leave it at that. I think as we continue, if there's more to chip in, we'll do that. Thank you.
That was such a beautiful a summarization of everything that we've been discussing. And I would love to repeat the statement that Lovelyn just provided us with, was the community belongs to us. That this is something that we need to remember. We need to recognize. And if you feel that that is not the case, then this is something that we need to build. The community does belong to us. We all belong to each other. And this is exactly where I think the core, the foundation of community development should lie with. And the other things that I would like to mention again was the fact that the way Lovely mentioned that the context is also something that is very important. And I actually do agree with that, because not all symptoms of a disease are the same. Not all symptoms look the same. They don't appear the same. They're not even felt the same way. So the context of a community is also something that we need to very carefully examine before we begin with anything. Because at the end of the day, if there is no genesis when it comes to how you are able to relate to somebody else, then the whole structure falls apart. And this is exactly what is happening in real time. This is exactly what is happening to the world. So again, thank you to all our panelists. I feel like I'm learning so much from all of you, just every minute as it passes by, and I'm really grateful for your time. Actually, right now, I would love to go back to Lovelyn again, because I wanted to talk a little bit about gender programming, because I feel like this is something which is not very uh, very commonplace. The term itself is not very commonplace, and all of us would love to hear from you. What is gender programming, and how does that relate to community development?
Okay. Thank you again, Priya. Actually, the feeling you have about gender programming, you're not alone in that. It often seems like it is such an abstract concept. However, it is not. And I actually mentioned it in the beginning. Now, gender programming generally is looking at whatever program you're running, whether it's health, education, peace and conflict, and all of. By the way, I actually just completed an MS and an MA study. I just defended my thesis, and we're looking at, and the study that I worked on is looking at women participation in conflict education, peace building education. And I just want to use that to cite an example of gender program so that I'm not just speaking English, but you understand it within the context of a particular work, and that's applicable everywhere. Now, so when we talk about gender programming, like what I did in this thesis, is this: you look at what role are women playing within that context, one. Then two, how is the issue that is about or that you're trying to solve affecting women? And then when you identify the different ways that that problem is affecting women and men, then you profile solutions that will solve the issues for women and men differently. What do I mean? So when there's conflict in a location, while most of the men are out there maybe trying to defend the community and all, women are home making sure that they are taking care of the home front. However, a lot is at stake for them because it is their husbands out there, or their sons, or their nephews, or their brothers. Now, for every fallen soldier, for example, that soldier is a son, a brother, a nephew, an uncle, or a father. And you find out that the level of grief and all for that woman is on a different level for every other compared to other men. Now, if you're looking at the solution to this, you look at it from, as this has happened, if it is a husband, the women automatically become the heads of the households. And then they are faced with multiple challenges alongside the already skewed gender biases, which we'll know, knowing that, especially in Africa, it's a patriarchal society where the biases are in favor of the men. And this woman who has less opportunities, less resources, less everything, is now faced to be the head of the household. So how does she cope? Now gender programming comes in to see, okay, with all these multiple uh, areas of biases on this woman, how then do we help her thrive in that war torn society, that she can be able to measure up a bit with the men? So for the men, if they're able to get a job, they will stand straight and then they'll be able to continue. But for a woman, she does not only need a job to take care of her family, but she needs the skills to be able to act both as a father and a mother to the family. Now you find a way to provide equity. So what extra does she need to be able to measure up in that society? So when I say measure up, it's not about competition, but measure up to be able to live an average life like every other man would. So in a nutshell, gender programming looks at the different ways that different issues affect men and women, and find ways to provide not a one cap fit all solution, but compartmentalized solutions to deal with our multi-pronged um, issues compared to the male gender. So that's just the summary of gender program. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you for explaining what gender programming looks like, and it is true. I think we often forget that the fact that each gender, and not just genders when it comes to being women and men, but there are a lot more genders now, and we there is a need to recognize their identities amongst the community, which is also something that is plays a crucial role when it comes to community development, because if you
Oh
deny
yeah.
some
Yeah,
as you
I
said,
actually missed that out. Sorry, Priya, I actually missed that out because that is actually in practice, especially in the health programming. So when you're doing health programming, as you're looking at how it affects men, how it affects women, you also look at how it affects other genders. I'll cite an example with a community-led monitoring approach to health system strengthening that I'm currently working on. So you find out that there are issues of denial, there are issues of discrimination when these other genders that are coming up are about to access healthcare. And that has been a major challenge, especially within the context of the community, acceptability of these new strands of gender. But especially in Africa, where we are, people still find it very strange. And a lot of people still live in denial of the existence of these people. And so they face additional level of discrimination. And all of that is taken into consideration. And that is why, in the current context of work that we do, you see that people are beginning to play down on gender mainstreaming. In fact, they have played down on gender mainstreaming and rather talking about social inclusion, because that way it takes care of the men, the women, and then what they call the key population, especially in the HIV context of health program. Thanks for bringing that up, because I actually completely missed that as I was talking. I think because of the example that I dwelt on in the conversation. Thank you.
Although I just believe that there's just so much to talk about, like 1.5 hours is just not enough, because I just feel like all of you come from such a deep background in community service, and there's always a lot more perspective that we can be discussing. And probably I would have loved to have more time so that some of our listeners and our members who are here today were able to ask questions. But sadly, we have sort of run out of time. So I think I would like to bring our whole session to a conclusion. But since this was our first installment for the topic on community service, I'm hoping that we will definitely have more such sessions coming up, and I would definitely love to bring our panelists today back to the other talks as well, so that we can continue our discussion of what is community building and what is community development. And not just that, but also somewhere look into what community service is like, because I feel like I was not in this field I've not been in this field for a very long time. I recently got into it, and once I got into it, I realized my passion for it as well. I realized that, this is something that I can do with my career. And I feel like people like you, the speakers that we have today are probably the best inspirations for all of us, or just that light at the tunnel where people can think that, oh, but if I'm doing this, is there some way I can serve the community, or is there somewhere I can be part of that field? And I feel there's no better people than the ones that we have today to be able to inspire you, or just to guide you if that is something that you're interested in. So thank you again to our panelists today for taking your time. I'm extremely grateful. The whole team of Obujupe is grateful that you all have taken your precious time out to be here with us today. And since this is the last installment, I wish happy holidays to everybody. I hope everyone enjoys their Christmas festivities. To the people who are affiliated with the church, I hope that you all stay blessed. I hope that this new year brings in a lot more blessings. And that's how I would like to wrap up. If anybody wants to, if there's anything else that anybody wants to share, please go ahead.
I think I will allow William to go first.
I'd just like to say it was a tremendous honor to be part of this conversation, and I learned a great deal from hearing from Lovelyn's work, working with communities facing challenges, from Peter's work working with international students here in Toronto who are facing a myriad of forms of violence that don't have to be. I mean, I think in the end, maybe that's the last point I want to say, is that the forms of violence that we face don't have to exist. And so these efforts to bring people together that we've been talking about are ways of trying to tear down those structures of violence that destroy lives. So thanks so much also to Priya and to the whole team of Obujupe, to Godfrey for this opportunity.
I just want to appreciate Priya. Thank you very much. I also want to appreciate Godfrey also too. Godfrey is a brother. I think we've been together for almost like 3-4 years now, and it's been a wonderful time. When we talk, we're always sharing different ideas on how to make the community a better place to stay. So I see this platform as a voice where people need to actually join here and even participate. Like how they say this thing in my adage back home in Nigeria, but I'll translate it in English. They say a tree cannot make a forest. So one person cannot make a community. We need everybody. So imagine if one person can do something effectively in a community. Imagine what 10 people will do in that community. that means they will have an excellent result. And I'll be wrapping up with this short testimony that happened recently. Godfrey, I think Godfrey too was also we got to know about it also too. What happened? Election was going to happen in Centennial College for the student union, and then the candidate for the position reached out to me and I said, "Oh, she's going, a lady for the first time in Centennial College community as a whole, right?" And said she was going for the presidency position. I said, "That is good." And I asked her, "Are you part of our community?" Oh, she said, yes, she used to come and everything. I said, you see, everybody needs to feel your impact. We are all important people. Personal involvement, it is very, very key because you're as important as I am. I said, well, it's all fine. You're from Africa, you're from Nigeria, we'll support you. What did I do? I just reached out to the few coordinators in the college. I told them, this is our person. I've had the discussion with her. She has good intention. She has what the community need and everything. And then we reach out to the community. And then trust me, everybody in the community took it up as their personal responsibility. Everybody was voting. Those that didn't get the link voiced out. I didn't get the link. We reached out to the IT department of Centennial College. They had issues, but because the community was voicing out, the election was meant to be a 2-day election. Because of our community, it was extended for 4 days because they had to make sure that something had to be done. And you know what? Just to cut the long story short, for the first time in the record of Centennial College, a Nigerian female lady was a president. She won the election. And I told them that is the power that comes from community. When we are able to come together as one, to stand as a voice, and then we fight. And our presence is being seen. So thank you very much, Godfrey. We hope to come next time to actually say 1 or 2 things out of the little experience that we have. And we trust God that the community ODP will be a stronger one, a better one. And in the nearest future, we'll be able to achieve better things together as a community. Thank you very much. God bless.
Oh, okay. Lovely.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Priya, for that wonderful moderation. Thank you, Godfrey and the Owuju team for having me. It's always a pleasure to share experiences. Thank you, William. I really and Kehinde, Mr. Peters. I really did appreciate and learned a lot from your experiences. And like Priya said, this conversation is not a 1.5 hour conversation. It's a conversation that needs to be ongoing because we need more and more of this. And in closing, I would say, yes, we are the community because we're together. Every member of the community matters, their perspective matters, they are valued, and everyone has a part to play, has a skill to contribute, has something to contribute that needs to be leveraged on, and that collectively, when we are intentional to include every member of the community, irrespective of whatever thing, whatever faction, or whatever other areas that they represent, it builds trust, it builds mutual accountability, and it leads to a stronger and stronger force that the development that can be achieved through this within that community can never be quantified. So thank you very much, Owujib community. We hope to take these conversations further and have everyone coming to listen, and we'll learn and share ideas even as we grow as a community. Thank you all, and I wish you all a happy holiday. I actually love Christmas, so this is like the best time of the year for me. Thank you.
It's a round of applause for everybody. Wow, such an amazing session. In fact, I would say I have my notes here filled up with a whole lot of insights and from all our panelists. This is such an insightful session. For me, basically, this session has shaped my thinking in light of community. Even if what we do, I've always been inspired by community, right? Virtually all my initiatives has been around community building, my products, community, everything has actually been around community. So I'm really grateful, really grateful. I followed the footsteps of Mr. Peter. I remember last semester, during the beginning of my first semester at George Brown, a student came in all the way from Kenya, and then he came with no place to stay. And he happens to be my colleague, right? And this is the first time I'm meeting this person. By the way, I'm also new in the country. And I was like, okay, let's go to my house. You know, at first I was asking myself, Kofi, do you know this person? What if this person is like this? Well, you know, and all of that. A whole lot of thinking. And I was like, see, you're gonna spend a week in my place, but during this period, you need to find a place and stay. There are lots of people we have networked, connected, you know, and this same person came back and said, Godfrey, I remember this time by this day, you did this for me. I am grateful. So beyond all of that, for me, this brings fulfillment to me, right? And I'm really, really grateful. Today marks the final edition for this year, 2024. 2025 promises to be amazing. We're going to be focused on capacity building. We've been able to impart knowledge through this platform. We have the resources online. This session will be available online on our YouTube page. You can go to our YouTube page and watch at any time, listen to them, and you also get more insight. For me personally, I listen to them within the week and I gain more insight. Oh, Peter said this. Oh, William said this. Oh, Lovelyn said this. Oh, Priya mentioned this. I listen to them on the go as well. So please, I really want to encourage all of us to go back to the previous content and also listen to them, listen to the session. There are a whole lot of things you can learn from it. So another thing I want to also emphasize is connecting with these people. Look for Peter and connect with him. He's on LinkedIn, he's on Instagram, he's on whatever platform. Please, if you don't mind, you can share it, your LinkedIn, your social media handles on the chat so that people can, you know, follow you up and connect with you, because we are big on connection. We're big on building relationship. One of the things we've done here is just to bring the speakers, get them to speak and drop some insightful words and, you know, wisdom. It's left for you to build that relationship beyond now. You know, build that relationship, reach out. Oh, I stumbled, I was in this session, I learned one or two things. This is what I can do. What are you working on? What can I help you do? Volunteer, you know, speak to these people and just build that connection going forward. So it's left for you actually. We've done our bit. Anyway, so thank you so much for this amazing session. And thank you, Priya. Hey, Priya. Thank you so much, Priya, for that amazing session. It's you nailed it. Thank you so much, Priya.
No,
Priya has been a consistent person. We started Owojob from the day we had the idea of Owojob. We started researching together. We've attended webinars, we've attended competition where we won and where we lost, right? And it's been an amazing experience with her on board. So Priya, thank you so much for facilitating this amazing session. Thank you so much. Also, we have Halima Abubakar on the call. Halima, if you are available, please, want to see your face. Halima has been moderating our sessions ever since August. Halima has been doing great job bringing in speakers, having insightful discussions. We want to really say thank you so much, Halima, for even your presence here and for being here with us as well. Thank you so much. We also had Mr. Peter's wife on the call, Auntie Simi, thank you. I see you. I have my good friend here, Ade Tono. Thank you so much for making our time to be here. I have some of my colleagues, Mr. Peter, Thank you so much, Peter. We really appreciate you. Thank you for making our time. Olainka O Peter, sorry, not Mr. Kenny. Olainka O Peter. Thank you so much, Olainka, for making it for this session. And for all our participants, we want to say thank you. Now, we had promised a Christmas present for everybody, a parting present for December for every participant, and we have it now. Can someone roll the drum? Let's roll the drum. Roll the drum, roll the drum. Voila! So for every participant on this call, we're giving out a $5 goodness card. We call it goodness card. We coined the word from the word Owujup. Owujup means goodness, right? So we're giving every participant $5, 5 Canadian dollars, please, not 5 US dollars, 5 Canadian dollars. So for those within Canada, you just send me your Interact email. I'll drop the link on the chat. Just email me your Interact email, and then you will have the funds sent to you. And then for those in West African region, that's Nigeria specifically, you can send me your account details, and then I will send you the equivalent in Naira. So thank you so much, everyone, for being part of this. We had a trivia earlier, but we're not going to go through it. I think our time is fast spent, but I want to say a big thank you. Lastly, I just want to talk about our forthcoming event, our forthcoming session. Next by mid-January, we'll be having this session on blockchain. You know, blockchain is, if you've been listening to the news, Bitcoin, which happens to be one of the blockchain, the early blockchain, the early cryptocurrency is over $100,000 now. So in fact, it's crazy. A whole lot is happening in the space, and there's no better time to be in that space than now. So whether you're coming in as an investor, there's a lot to learn. Whether you're coming in as a developer, there's a lot to learn. Whether you're in your individual field, there's a component of blockchain that you can adopt in what you're doing, and that's what makes you stand out. So we're bringing this. We're looking to empower 20 developers. You already have skill sets in development. Please just sign up on this platform. You can go to our website, community.owujup.com, sign up, and tell us your areas of interest. By the way, you don't have to be a developer, and this is not the only training we'll be doing, right? This is just one, the one we just got recently, the partnership we just got recently. So sign up, tell us your areas of interest. We'll analyze your feedback and, you know, streamline what your interest is to a specific area, then have further discussion with you to know what exactly or what you really want, and then we can channel resources, you know, to meeting that need. The goal for us is to have you empowered. And just like the Holy Book says, it says, why you get strengthened, strengthen others. And just like Peter said, why you get strength, why you gain empowered, and you're open to this, to several opportunities, empower others. And that's the only way we can build ourselves as a community. So thank you so much. And once again, I'm really grateful to our panelists, to everyone. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and see you next year. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, bye. Thank you. And please send me the email, and we'll forward your gift card equivalent to you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, William. Thank you. It's nice. Thank you so much for that amazing session. Bye. Yeah.
Bye, Geoffrey.
Bye.
Bye, Priya.
Oh.
Bye, everyone. Take care.